everyone. This is Sincere, a Teacher Sincere's channel, and welcome once again. Okay, so this is a quick video that I'm doing about a book that I finished today. I've shown you this book in a previous video. I don't remember exactly which one, but in one of my previous videos, I talked about it was one that I was actually reading. Well, today I actually finished it. Finally, okay, and I have to get it back into the library because it was actually due yesterday, and so it's going to be day late, so I'm going to be taking it back and just pay my late fee because it's from another library in the state, and if I send it back, it's, got to do all this, bring it back and all this. So no, I want to go ahead and try to finish it up. And so I knew I might actually go over a day, but but I was actually reading this memoir. And I showed it to you before, Three Worlds, Memoir of an Arab Jew by Avi Shlaim. Avi Shlaim is a professor. He lives in England, and he was actually born in Iraq. He's what he calls an Arab Jew. Okay. He grew up in Arab culture, but his religion was Jewish. He came from an affluent family. He says upper middle class, sort of on the border of wealthy, very comfortable life. And they lived he grew up in Baghdad, and they had a very comfortable life. His father was a businessman, and his mother and father, there was a big age gap. They were actually put together by a matchmaker. Okay. His father was like almost old enough. He was old enough to be his mother's father, actually. But he tells a lot of interesting things in his memoir about the lost culture of the Arab Jews in Iraq. The Jews had lived in Iraq since the time of the Babylonian captivity. So they were there hundreds of years even before the birth of Christ. And what the tragedy of what happened to them, like millions of other Jews that lived in North Africa, Middle East, Sephardic and Mizrahim Jews, they actually, at the creation of the state of Israel in 1948, they all were forced to move to Israel. And in the case of many of the Jews, the majority of the Jews in Iraq, because he lived there and he knew what was going on. I mean, he was a child at the time, but he knows the story. Many of the Jews there did not want to come move to what was then called Palestine. They felt they were very cosmopolitan. At the point when he was living, time period when Professor Shlaim was living in Iraq, in Baghdad, at that time period, which was at the time when he was born in the 1940s, over around 40% of the population of Baghdad was actually Jewish. Okay, and there was like peaceful coexistence and everything. But then there were a lot of complicated maneuverings done by the British that ran Iraq, all this. He gives a great history of all of everything, very tangled history. And they ended up being forced to move to Palestine. Now I was thinking Professor Shlaim was Mizrahim, but he said he's Sephardic Jew. He's Sephardim. So his family at some point in time actually came from Spain. During the time that during the time when the Moors ruled Spain, there were a lot of Jewish people that lived in Spain at that time. So it's a really interesting book. I don't want to give a lot of information away, because there's a lot in this book that will give you a better understanding of how the state of Israel was created, how Jews were it was basically, created, if you know just a little bit about the history, it was created by, the Ashkenazi Jews from Europe. The European Jews were actually the ones that were in the forefront of going of colonizing Palestine, whereas later, after they had started ethnically cleansing the Palestinians, then they started wanting to repopulate it. They basically repopulated the country with Arabs that lived in North Africa and West Asia, Middle East. Professor Shlaim talked about his childhood. He talks about the political history, his childhood growing up. He was very young when they had to leave Iraq, and they left, I think, in 1951, either 1950, 1951. He and his mother and sisters, they first went to Israel, and then his father came later, and they went down socially. Okay. The Jews from the Middle East were considered by the Ashkenazi Jews as like barbarian hordes, unwashed, uncivilized because they spoke Arabic. Many times they were darker skinned. They practiced Arab culture, all of this, and they were looked down on by the Ashkenazi Jews. But it's a wonderful book. I really encourage you to read it. I made a goal for myself this year to try to learn as much as I can about the Israeli-Palestine conflict as much as I can. So on the road of my project that I'm doing this year, this is the book that I started with first. Okay. I've also ordered, I showed you some books in another video, some books that I ordered by Palestinian writers. Also, one other book I have that Professor Shlaim co-authored with Eugene Rogan. And I have some other ones, and there were others that I want to check out. I was thinking about actually that I wanted to read next Rashid Khalidi's or Halidi's book, The 100-Year War Against Palestine. But I will try to get that one in later. What I'm thinking I'm going to do is I want to finish up. I'm reading Memoirs of a Babylonian Princess, that I showed you earlier, that was written back in the 1830s, 1840s by an Iraqi Christian woman. What I'm thinking, the next book that I'm going to read in the group is a book I've had for quite some time. I'm thinking about reading Edward Said's memoir, Out of Place. Edward Said was a Palestinian American. He was born in Jerusalem. I've read one of his books, very complex, intellectual, difficult book I read a number of years ago, Orientalism. So I decided, since I've had this lying around for a long time, I'm going to go ahead and read his book, Out of Place. So probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up Maria Teresa Asmar's Memoir of a Babylonian Princess. It's 2-part. So I may just do that because my reading lately, I just don't have it anymore like I used to. I love reading, but I can't read 6 to 8 books at a time like I've done in the past. When my father died almost 3 years ago, everything sort of fell by the wayside. My reading went down. I was doing the Goodreads challenge. I've talked about all this before. And I just can't, I'm on it for this year, but I'm not focused on it. I'm just like, I'm not going to be in any kind of race or competition. I'm just going to enjoy the ride, enjoy the reading. So, so I think probably after I finish that memoir, I'm going to read Edward Said's book. But yeah, I really love Professor Shlaim's book, Three Worlds, Memoirs of an Arab Jew. I did not know anything about this history of, I just thought, like many people, most people think, the average person think that all Jews are the same, but they are not. There are so many different types of Jews. Judaism is not really a race. It is a religion. So you have all kinds of people that are Jews with different beliefs, different values. Some are Zionists. Professor Shlaim was a Zionist growing up when he was young, but when he got older, he repudiated Zionism. All of this. So another writer that I want to read, and I have it on my Kindle, is Ilan Pappé's book about the I think it's called The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine. I have that one on my Kindle. But there are just so many different types of Jews. So to think that they're all the same is really incorrect. Okay. Some people that think they're all the same, they're saying they're all the same, are really racist, but you do things out of ignorance and you just don't know. But yeah, but I learned so much from his book, and I really highly recommend that you read Professor Shlaim's book. If you look on YouTube, there are many videos of him. I first learned about him and his book on Twitter, on X. Somebody mentioned his book, his memoir here, and I was like, wow, I really want to read that book. And also because of his book, I learned about another anti-Zionist writer who was a novelist named Sami Michael, and I got one of his books recently. I got it used, and I'll share that in a future video. But yeah, I really enjoyed the book. I learned so much, and I'm ready to learn more. So this year, hopefully I will continue to read more books to understand more about the conflict between with Israel, Palestine, and along with, of course, on YouTube I follow, and on social media I follow a lot of accounts dealing with the situation. Also accounts of people that are actually living in Gaza. So yeah, but I'm going to end here because I have to run. Just a quick update on my friend in Gaza. She is still alive. Walla is still alive. She messaged me overnight, just sent some hearts and flowers and stuff and everything. So, she's still alive, but, you know, the situation there is, you know, you just don't know the way things are going. And it's still a very brutal and uncertain situation for the people of Gaza, and also for the people in Palestine, because there's a lot going on there next. And some people are feeling that once they finish with Gaza, then the West Bank, those cities will be ethnically cleansed. So, if you are a praying person, keep the people of Palestine in your prayers. Also keep the Jewish people that are brave and non-Zionists. Also keep them in your prayers, those that are brave enough to come out and go against the grain and speak against all the things that are going on that is not right. Okay, so I'm going to end here. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. So this is Sincere. Until next time.